If you want to hear my update on my Pan That palette, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène, and yes, we are going to talk about this palette today. I'm excited about it because I have, first off, used it a number of times recently and have some, I would say, interesting progress to show, and progress that is very visible to the naked eye, and I think that that is what makes these a lot of fun. Before we get too much into this update, I do want to mention that I am wearing this palette on my eyes. I have wheat as the base color, and I have quite a bit of Sumatra on my eye. So on the outer lid, crease, I used it as liner on the lower lash line and also liner on the upper lash line. It really was those two colors from this palette that make most of the look. That said, on the inner to 2/3 of the lid and on the brow, I am wearing other shadows that I thought you would be interested in. So one of the supplements to the Smashbox Matte Exposure is this Classical Paradise by Beaute. As an aside, I got this palette from Steph Lyons. We did a makeup swap. We each had the same budget and we sent each other makeup without telling each other what it is that we were sending. And it was so much fun to shop for each other. If you want to see everything I got from Steph, I will put it right here, and I will also put a link to her revealing what it is she got from me. So you'll see that other video pop up as soon as my first one is done. I highly recommend a makeup swap like we did. It was so much fun. It captured our imagination for over 9 months, both for what we were going to buy for the other person and also waiting patiently or impatiently for our package to make it across the pond, so to speak. So yeah, I highly recommend that. If there is someone on YouTube or off YouTube that you think that you could share an experience like that with, I highly recommend. And I used two colors. I used Mineral on the inner lid to 2/3 of the lid, and I think you can see the effect there. So on the inner lid there was nothing underneath other than wheat. I put that over top, and then it ended up covering part of Sumatra, and I think I really like the look. I did a similar look yesterday using the Makeup Forever Artist palette number 1, using the center, the shade that's right in the center of the palette. And then I used Barley on my brow bone, and I think Barley is a very nice color for the brow bone. So that is how I used the Classical Paradise to pair up with the Smashbox Matte Exposure. Now, if you saw something a little extra shiny though, you would be right. And I topped Mineral with this guy from Urban Decay, and it's called Vape. And it is a beautiful, beautiful topper from Urban Decay. It just, any shadow where you want to have a glitter topper, it is beautiful. Let me just put some on the back of my hand so that you can see. It's so, so, so nice. And it's just a nice powdery topper, and I don't mean powdery in a bad way, just it spreads out very nicely without covering the color underneath. And it has a hint of kind of pinky peach, but it's mostly kind of a white glitter, and it's micro fine glitter, but it looks beautiful to me, and I have had no trouble using this as a topper many times recently. And every time I do, it just takes the look to the next level, and I really enjoy it. So I am not going to hold back. I will show you the palette right away. I'm just going to take the brush out because it's a bit annoying. I keep the brush in though for weighing, because otherwise on this scale, the palette tips over. So in order to keep the palette flat, I put the brush in, and it just seems to counterweight the very heavy top of the palette. That's my problem, not yours. So let's talk about the palette. If you have been watching these videos, I'm just going to give you a gander for you to try to figure out what is different without me showing you last month right away. Hint, I have 3 significant changes. Okay, let me reveal the changes. First off, I had Suede repressed in here. So Suede used to be up here, and what it was doing is it was damaging my brush, and so I removed the powder from here and I put it in here. And I used it a lot as a crease and outer lid shadow and also outer lower lash line. But it was a warm, medium brown, I would say, and it was okay, but I don't like that color particularly on my eye, so I was very, very pleased to finish it. That was fantastic. So if you've seen more of that kind of warm, medium tone brown on my eyes in the last month, that would have been it. But I was also wearing it a lot when I was not doing videos, and I think that it was not hate panning, but it was a I'm so close, let me use it panning. So I mean, we put shadow on our eyes, and actually in the last month I wore less shadow than I have in over 2 years. So the fact that I actually got this finished, I'm really impressed. The next thing that I've done is, and you'll see this better in the pictures at the end, you may be able to tell with the light how much of a dip I have in it. You can see the shadow right here. I have a significant dip. Let's see if I can, don't know how to do it without blinding you. I don't know if this shows up more. I have a significant dip in that pen. I would say I've used a quarter of it, and it's a big pen, right? This is like two shadows. And I am going to declare that next time I show an update of this palette, that it's going to have pan. And the reason I'm saying that is not because I'm going to dig for it. I just put my brush throughout the whole pan. It is what I've decided to use to set my eyeshadow if I'm doing kind of a brown look. And I won't set it all the way to my brow bone, but I do put concealer on, and I set it about 3/4 of the way up. And then on the outer lower lash line. And I find that it's not too dark. It definitely gives me color, but it's not too dark to use to set. So I'm pretty happy with that. And the third one is this one. So I had tiny, tiny pan on it last time around. And now, as you can see, is the pan is expanding. And I have just recently, I would say in the last week, discovered that at least for me for now, it is not a bad brow color to use. So whenever I'm using this palette, I think that I can go to Sumatra and use it for brows, which also means that I'm going to go more into Blackberry. My default has been Sumatra, which I really like as a color. And Blackberry just has that hint of, you guessed it, purple in the brown, which I don't mind either. And I think that these two make a really nice pairing, and I can also get away with using Blackberry with this guy back here. So I like that. I think that this one, though, Spice, is going to be a real challenge for me to use because Suede was so similar in color. This one's even more of a kind of brown that I have trouble with. I need a break. So I'm not going to be playing with that color at all. I think I'm going to focus on, as I said, setting, of course. And my preference is really going to be to probably focus on this quadrant, but just these guys. I'm going to leave that one alone for some time. I might actually even, I wonder if I could get away with using this one somewhat as a blush. I'll have to think about that. But I'm not interested in going to the cooler tones. I want to finish these guys first. So yeah, these and this one are going to be my focus. And I have to do a mea culpa because last time I did an update, I said that I would use this one and this one. And I have to a certain extent. There is, I don't know how to show you. There is a, trust me, I guess, there is a definite dip in these two, but I did not focus on them at all. And I think that my preference is to focus on wheat. And then those other two I could also use to set at least part of my eye primer. I'm not worried about finishing them, so I think I'm going to, like I said, focus on wheat first as far as the lighter colors in the palette, and then worry about finishing the other ones. So yeah, that's it. I think I've given you my plan. I've shared a very happy update, and I did not, believe it or not, with all the visual progress, I only managed to finish less than a half a gram, which is a little bit of a surprise to me, but it is what it is. And at least visually, I know that there's a big difference, and you can see that when you take a look at the progress pictures that are coming up. So without further ado, let's take a look at those. So that's it. That is it for my update. I hope you enjoyed the visual changes. There's a lot, right? I am really happy with the change, despite the fact that there's not that much weight difference from the previous update. And I am jazzed. I feel some momentum in using this palette. I feel like I only have a quarter of the way to go, and it just, the anticipation of completely finishing my first ever Pan That palette is super exciting. And as I get down to the very last bit of it, if I run out of shadows, I'm probably going to overlap another palette that I'm going to start as my next Pan That palette. So I'm already thinking of candidates. I was looking today in my collection trying to figure out which one, and it seems like every time I consider it, I change my mind. So I'm kind of curious to know what it is that I'm going to end up with. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We have to get through this one first. So with that, I will say thank you so much for watching. Are you panning a palette? If so, which one and how is it going? Would you recommend it? And for those of you who prefer to watch Pan That palette updates as a spectator sport, I hope you enjoyed the video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. But for now, take care.